For many people, the words comfortable and aero are two words that simply do not go together in the same sentence. Understandably, going from a fairly upright position on a road bike and then moving to an aerodynamic triathlon or TT bike can feel like quite a shock. Something I spent a long time getting myself used to over the years too. So today I thought I'd share my tips on how to get comfortable whilst being aero. Now, one thing I was advised when I first got myself onto a triathlon bike and ignored at the time was to ease myself into it. And having learned the hard way, gone around in circles with my fit, I'm now going to advise that you learn from my mistakes. See, everything from how often you ride in your aero bars, your fit, it all should just be done bit by bit to start off with. And actually, a really good starting point is on the indoor trainer. It's a safe environment where you can build up your confidence. You can practice going in and out of your aero bars. You can start building that up to doing 1 minute in the aero bars, then 4 minutes out of the aero bars, 4 minutes in the aero bars, then maybe 1 minute out, until finally you feel at a point that you can do sustained periods of time in the aero bars without breaking. Now, following on from easing yourself in, it's important we talk about something called stack height. Now, for those triathlon newbies out there, probably wondering what on earth I'm talking about. Admittedly, we do have some rather weird words and phrases here in triathlon. But stack height is simply referring to the amount of stack between our base bar here and our elbow cups and aero bars here. It's this little section here. Now, quite often you see people getting triathlon bikes and they feel they need to go really low and aero at the front end, looking all pro. But I've got news for you, because more often than not, it's not more aero. In fact, you're actually trying to go aero at the cost of being rather uncomfortable. What you want to do is actually increase the stack height to a degree. That's going to relieve the amount of tension in your shoulders, therefore making it more comfortable, more sustainable for a longer period of time. And also, by relieving that tension, it allows you to relax your neck, your head down, and be more aero. Now, whilst we're on the subject of aero bars, one area that is so often overlooked yet so important is your elbow cups and elbow pads. Don't just assume that the ones that come with your bike are the best. Also, just be wary that some elbow pads will wear out with time too. If you are someone that feels like you need a little bit more cushioning under your elbows, then you can get some thicker pads that you can replace. You can also get some foam that you can cut down to size and stick down, as a lot of the pros do. See, at the end of the day, your elbows are one of your main contact points with your bike when you are in the aero bars. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable, and that's going to really increase your confidence when you're in the aero bars. Additionally, you may want to consider the shape of these elbow cups. Some elbow cups feel a little bit more secure than others, and by that I mean you feel locked into your position. That tends to come with elbow cups that have a little bit more of a curvature on the outside, and these can also just be easily replaced and changed in and out of bikes, and that's going to drastically change the amount of confidence and comfort you have whilst being aero. We're now moving on to possibly the most talked about item on people's bikes, and that is the saddle. Now, trying to find a saddle that works for you on a road bike can seem to take a heck of a long time. Trying to find a saddle that works for you on a TT or triathlon bike, well, that can seem to take an absolute lifetime. Now, personally, I would highly recommend a saddle with a split nose design like this one here. The idea being that because we are leaning further forward when we're in the aero bars, we're putting a lot more pressure through the front of the saddle here. So having that split nose design, that helps to relieve that pressure. And honestly, it's been an absolute game changer for me, and I know for a lot of others, but obviously it's very important that you find one that works for you. It is another major contact point with the bike, so I'd really actually recommend you try it before you buy. A lot of local bike shops offer this service just to make sure that you're super comfortable before you go ahead and commit to purchasing your saddle. Now, back back to the aero bars, there are actually a couple of small changes that we can make that can considerably change their feel and hopefully our comfort with them. One, which we see a lot of people doing, is putting an ever so slight tilt upwards with the aero bars, as I've done here actually, and that's to prevent that feeling of slipping off the front of them. Previously, when I used to have them a lot more flat, I'd feel like I was slipping off the front, so I'd grip on hard with my hands. That would create a lot of tension in my shoulders. Now, with them tilted up, I feel almost like I'm wedged or locked into this position here. Now, to do that on your bike, it might just be a case of simply adjusting a couple of bolts. Failing that, you may need to get a little adapter or wedge that's going to fit just beneath the aero bars and the elbow cup here. Now, another thing to consider is also with your bike computer. Now, ideally, you want this bike computer as close to your line of sight as possible. So often I see people with their bike computer right back here on the stem. Now, if you're someone that's planning to refer to your bike computer whilst you're riding and read those metrics, then you're going to be like a nodding dog up and down. That's going to be very uncomfortable. You're also going to be reducing your aerodynamics by doing that, by dropping the head up and down. But more importantly, that's also going to reduce the amount of time that you're looking ahead and down the road in front of you. Now, your saddle position can totally transform the feel of your bike. Honestly, I notice if my saddle height or tilt on the saddle changes just 1 or 2 millimeters. Now, as with the aero bars, you'll see a lot of triathletes having a slight tilt on their saddle, but this time they're tilting the nose of the saddle down, and that's just to relieve that pressure that we were talking about before. Personally, I have mine almost flat and then about a 2 mil drop on the nose. That's enough to relieve that pressure whilst not feeling like I'm slipping off the front. Others go for a little bit more of a severe drop, but just be wary that you don't want to feel like you're continually pushing yourself back onto that saddle, because then that's going to increase that tension in the shoulders that we were talking about before. And finally, a fairly obvious one to finish, but make sure you stretch. Having a nice flexible lower back is going to allow you to get lower, more aerodynamic, but more crucially, it's going to allow you to stay there for longer. But don't just stop there at the lower back, because your body acts like a chain. So make sure your hamstrings are nice and flexible. Also, your upper back and your shoulders. It's all going to allow you to get a bit more range in your back, but also allow you to stay in those aero bars for longer. Now, when you are starting out on the aero bars, just be wary. You are going to fatigue quite a lot. You're probably going to get off the bike and feel quite tight. So again, just make sure you stay on top of that stretching. Now, if you have enjoyed today's video, hit that thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more videos from GTN, click on the globe and subscribe. If you'd like to see our comfort versus aero video, which was actually filmed on this exact road about a year ago now, see that by clicking down here. If you'd like to see how to ride on aero bars, you can see that by clicking just down here.